it's totally normal. You know, until you guys turned up, I was a normal person.
You mentioned the sun earlier. Clearly, the tabloids have been gunning for you for a while now. Do you think this experience in Afghanistan is going to change how you're regarded back at home?
Who knows? They've got their own opinions. They're entitled to their own opinions, and I'll just keep on doing what I'm doing, and yeah, that's about it.
You're right.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so how are you finding Delhi?
Delhi is fantastic. Started off at a week in Douar. Flew from Kandahar to Douar. Spent a week in Douar, and then asked the commanding officer if I could come down here and spend Christmas with the Gurkhas, because spent some time with them in England on an exercise on Salisbury. And yeah, no, really, everyone is really well looked after here by the Gurkhas. Food's fantastic, goat curries and chicken curries, and I probably shouldn't have said goat curries, but yeah, no, it's really good fun, and yeah, no, it's really well looked after.
You said in an interview before you came out that you were very keen to get out on patrol. Were you surprised to be so far forward so soon?
Yeah, I suppose so. I was always hoping to get forward. The commanding officer was very sort of cool about it and said, "Yep, no, this is where I want you to go." Obviously, Mark, the OC down here, was willing to take that responsibility, and I got here on Christmas Eve, and going from bullet magnet to anti-bullet magnet, most of the guys were pretty bummed that I was here because nothing was happening for the first few days that I was here, but things are picking up again now because it's obviously quite boring when nothing happens down here.
So it's not your typical Christmas day?
No, not your typical Christmas, but Christmas is overrated anyway, so.
What was going through your head when they said you were coming down to Delhi? I mean, obviously it's got a bit of a rep for being sort of right on the front line here, hasn't it?
Yeah, no, it has. But I mean, when you know you're with the Gurkhas, I think there's no safer place to be really. They're all armed with kukris, so if they run out of ammunition, then they just charge you with their massive swords, as the enemy call them. I think the enemy thought they were Chinese at one point. Yeah, no, it's a hard one. It's hard for anybody to understand, I guess, for especially the people that have been out here for 3 months already. It's the fact that, yeah, you can be up at Douar safe as houses, but time just drags on when nothing's going on, and it's so boring. Yeah, you've got the 105 guns up there that are firing down here, so you know you hear the bangs, but you don't see what's going on. So it's nice to get down here and actually be part of it and actually sort of help. And obviously, my job being a JTAC means that I'm needed around the place, as are other JTACs, to actually support and help out troops that come under contact.
Is it very different doing it in anger in the field than it has been doing your job in exercises?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is slightly different. A lot of the time, the guys are engaging sort of invisible firing points because the Taliban are very good at hiding in their trenches. But it is somewhat like what I can imagine World War II to be like, as you saw on JTAC Hill. It's just no man's land. They pop up their heads, they poke their heads up, and then that's it. And then if the guys are coming under a lot of fire, then I call the air in, and as soon as the air comes up, they disappear and just jump down these holes or go into their bunkers. So yeah, no, it's a very strange reality being down here.
But as a soldier, this is what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, this is what it's all about. What it's all about is being here with the guys rather than being in in a room with a bunch of officers. I'm in here with all the guys. We've got most of them are artillery guys, and they're basically doing a swap over with the other ones on JTAC Hill, sort of staying off doing a week because it's quite hard graft up there supposedly. Yeah, no, it's good fun to be with just a normal bunch of guys, listening to their problems, listening to what they think, and I suppose just getting through every day and just yeah, I mean it's not painful to be here. You're doing a job, and to be with such fantastic people, the Gurkhas and the guys that I'm sharing my room with, or our room with, makes it all the worthwhile, if that makes any sense.
For a member of the royal family, this is a fairly unique level of engagement, isn't it, in military terms?
You could say that. I'm not too sure. My history's pretty rubbish, but yeah, no, I suppose it is. But at the end of the day, I like to sort of, as you know, as I keep going about, it's very nice to be sort of a normal person for once. I think this is about as normal as I'm ever going to get. Whereas the Gurkhas, they're just so friendly, looking after me, and obviously they're all fully aware what the situation is, and always keeping an eye open for me. and then everyone else just gets on with their daily life. You know, there's bigger things going on in the world and going on outside there on the front line, rather than, you know, worrying about, oh look who's here. I nearly swore there. I didn't though.
Has there been any limitation put on what you can do just because of your background, your position?
No, not at all. I don't know if as I said earlier, I was expecting there to be some sort of limitation. I didn't really know what I was going to be allowed to do. As I said, I was hoping to come down here for Christmas Day to be with the Gurkhas. I don't know why, it was just something that I wanted to do, just to be with them, because, well, you know, they don't really, I don't know if they didn't really celebrate Christmas that much, but we had some fantastic games that we played out in the yard there. And I was expecting, yeah, fine, you can be down there for a few days, but then we'll drag you back. But all my wishes have come true, managed to get the job done, and I think there's a few people who didn't want me to come down here, maybe, possibly. But as far as the commanding officer is concerned, I'm a JTAC, I'm a qualified JTAC, and therefore there are people who need air to cover the troops, basically.
So this is compensated for any disappointment you may have had over Iraq?
Yeah, you could say that. It's a totally different thing. The commanding officer was very clever about it. The main problem was being a troop leader and putting so many guys under risk in Iraq. I think now that I've come out here, I think it's proved the point that if it's done the right way and kept quiet in certain areas, then it can be done. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm out here as a normal JTAC on the ground and not Prince Harry.
Do you think there's any sense in which your deployment has put at risk, or more at risk, the people that you're serving alongside here?
Not at all. Mark has chats with me, we have a good laugh every day, and Mark says, wait, you know, sort of blows smoke up my arse, and by saying that the Gurkhas love the fact that I'm down here, especially with this company, because my father's the Colonel-in-Chief. I hope I got that right. Do I? Yeah, no, they think it's fantastic, and I love them because they just make me laugh so much. So we've been having a really good time. But yeah, I suppose it's...
Just getting down here, you came from, what was it, Bryce, Kandahar and Bastion that you came through. Did you have to keep a
No,
low
I never went
profile?
never went to Bastion. Kept away from Bastion. Was put on an SF flight from Kandahar to here, and they were mid-op, so I just hitched a lift with them, chucked me out at Douai, and as you know, Douai's in the middle of nowhere. And as you saw on the patrol today, just walking around some of the locals or the AMP, they haven't got a clue. They wouldn't know. I mean, next door through these walls that's got holes in it are the interpreters, and they haven't got a clue. Sit down, have a chat with them, have a cigarette with them, and wish I could say have a beer, but that doesn't happen around here. So yeah, no, it's totally normal. You know, until you guys turned up, I was a normal person.
Sorry about it. Where did you do your in-theatre training? Was that at Douai?
Well, I did my original in-theatre training. As in once I got into theatre?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I did it in Kandahar. That was all kept very much under wraps. From a JTAC point of view, the only thing you really have to do is do a couple of tests and get a 2-hour brief I had from an American lieutenant colonel, who was very nice. And then it's a tick in the box saying, right, you're all good to go, etc., etc.
Since you've been out here, have you had much contact with anybody back home?
Yeah, contact-wise back home, everyone gets given their, I think it's iridium, not iridium, paradigm.
But it's a paradigm system.
You get given your paradigm card, and you get 30 minutes a week or something, which isn't great. But I think it was over the Christmas week, everyone was given 15 extra minutes, which was very nice. And there was a rumour about the Sun giving an extra 10 minutes. I refused to accept those 10 minutes. But yeah, no, all the guys, you know, everyone's on the phone the whole time. Try and speak. I try and ring home and ring the necessary people whenever I can, once a week maybe. Otherwise, you know, you just run out of minutes.
They must be quite worried about you back home, though.
No, I don't think so. No one really knows where I am, and I prefer to keep it that way for the meantime until I get back in one piece and I can tell them where I was. At the moment, I think they think that I'm tucked away, wrapped up in cotton wool.
Your brother's presumably going to be rather jealous of you when he finds out.
Well, he does know where I am. Yeah, I mean, he's jealous anyway because I'm a JTAC and it's one of the best jobs in the army. I think there's a lot of people who disagree with that, but I think there's a lot of people who would agree, mainly the JTACs. But yeah, no, I don't know. I don't think he'll be jealous. He's a little bit upset that he can't come out in and I can, but I'm sure he'll have his time, whether it's in a plane or in a helicopter, aircraft, sorry, jet.
Something in the sky.
Yeah.
We spent quite a bit of time over at Dwyer with Corporal of Course Baxter, who spoke very favourably of your abilities since you've got here. What's he been like to work with?
It's funny you say that, the fact that you've already managed to interview him. I never really knew Corporal Baxter at all until I got out here, so I've known him for about a week, so probably just a little bit longer than you guys have. He turned up from, I think he came back down from the north with a commanding officer as part of TAC after they had a few vehicle problems, and I don't know, I think he was expecting to come down here, I'm not too sure, and I was going to be running the TAC P up at Dwyer. Commanding officer said, no, I prefer you to get some hands-on and also get yourself down to Delhi. They need you down there. So yeah, felt quite needed, which was good. I got sent down here and he got held up there, which he's really upset about. So I think there's a little bit of jealousy going on there. But yeah, he's fixed my radio for me. So yeah, he's a good guy to have on board, despite being ginger and Irish. It's a lethal mix.
You're widow 6'7", he's widow 6'3". You seem to have quite a lot of banter on the radio.
Yeah, it's important to have banter, especially when it's UHF line of sight. It means no one else can listen to it. So it's just me and him having a good banter. And obviously, when the aircraft come over, as I said earlier, you've got them on task with 3.5 hours, and when you're looking for possibly one or two enemy digging a trench. It can get quite tiring, and if you're just talking, go to this point, and then you just put the radio down, you're just staring at a screen, it just sends you insane. So yeah, it's good. I think it's good to be relaxed on the net and have a good chat. But when things are pretty hairy, then you need to obviously get to it. Turn your game face on and do the job.
The guys at Dwyer said to ask you about your chats with Harrier pilots in particular.
Yeah, no, well, it was quite an entertaining evening. That's all I'm going to say on that one. Sorry to disappoint you.
It's very nice. It must be quite nice though, being in a position where people don't recognise who you are.
Yeah, it is. It's fantastic. I'm still a little bit conscious about the fact that if I do show my face too much, in and around the area. Luckily, there's no civilians around here because it's, as I said, it's sort of like no man's land. But I think if up north, when I do go up there, if I do go on patrols and there's in amongst the locals, I'll still be very wary about the fact that I need to keep my face slightly covered just on the off chance that I do get recognised, which will put other guys in danger. Yeah, the Gurkhas think it's hysterical how I'm called the bullet magnet, but they've yet to see why, so they're a little bit upset about that.
When you're on the net though, as Widow 6'7", you're talking to all these people up there. They've no idea that they're talking.
Well, supposedly not. I've always had the suspicions that there's one particular call sign that I was speaking to this morning has got a rough idea, either that or we just get on really well. But it is slightly strange speaking to most of the pilots. You never know who you're going to get. Sometimes their call signs change from the difference between Vapor 4-1 to Vapor 4-3. It's going to be a Brit pilot, and then once they're up in the air, you have a fantastic chat with them. But it's a wizard call sign I've had something like 5 days in a row now. And if he hasn't worked it out, I'm sure he doesn't care anyway. But if he hasn't worked it out, I'm sure when he gets back home and if he sees this, he'll wet himself. Especially after the poster he showed of me from 30,000 feet this morning.
Just talk us through what happened up on JTAC Hill today, the sort of role that you were fulfilling there.
Well, normally I would do it from back here. Obviously we went on patrol. Just a normal routine patrol, just to show a presence basically, and have a sort of say hello to the AMP. Didn't get much of a chance to do that because they're obviously busy. Back onto JTAC Hill, and yeah, I mean, there's as I think Mark the OC said, there's normally 4 to 5, maybe 7 or 8 contacts a day, especially sort of about a month ago or 2 weeks ago. That's definitely what it was. It's got very cold recently, so the engagements have sort of subsided. However, yeah, no, my job is basically just to get air up, whether I've been tasked it the day before or on the day, or as I say, whether troops are in contact or something like that. And then air is tasked to me, they check into me once they come into the ROS, and then I'm basically responsible for that aircraft, making sure it doesn't get taken out by a 105 shell. It's quite a big sky, but it's, knowing my luck, it's very possible to happen unless I keep on top of it. And then basically they use their pod, all the imagery, and which obviously linked into me, and together we just look around on the with the TV screen search the area for any movement at all, anything suspicious, any bunker systems, any compounds that the enemy have been seen in. Try and get some sort of a pattern of life, because we know that they're being sort of funded by someone somewhere, possibly further down south around Pakistan border, and ammunition and weapons are always being delivered by mopeds. So if we see a moped, we follow that to a building, focus are in and around that building, and then if we see guys leaving with weapons, going to a fire point, engaging JTAC, then going back to that building, then well, that's sort of, it all links in, and then you've got to do what you've got to do.
Is it difficult?
Well, I suppose bits of it are difficult. Sitting in that room looking at the rover screen terminals, any JTAC would say is a piece of piss, really. It's when you're on the ground carrying all the kit, and then you come into contact, you've got to type in the password. If your computer's not on already, flip it open, get on the radio, get the jets in, and you almost become like a bit of an air traffic controller. You've got jets flying all over the place, and you're trying to control them while looking at the screen, while trying to show a presence of force with the jet to get the enemy to go to cover, so to keep your guys in one piece and keep safe, basically. So I think from a JTAC point of view, it's a lot easier being in that room than it is for the guys up north on the ground running around with all the kit being shot at.
Seem to have got a bit of a taste for this now. Can you see yourself still doing this in 5 years, 10 years time?
Well, I don't know. We'll see what the demand for me is. As any JTAC, as I said, we are being pulled left, right, and centre within any brigade. There's not enough JTACs. More and more being pushed through courses back at JFAC in England. And if there's, if I'm not needed and we leave Afghanistan, then I wouldn't see myself carrying on. But it's a job worthwhile. I mean, you're responsible for so many things: casevacing injured guys, getting water, food in, making sure that gets in safely and out safely, because obviously something like a Chinook is a big target. And then obviously you're talking to multinational. You've got the French, you've got the Danes, you've got the English, Brits, sorry, and the Americans. So you've got all sorts, and it's a really good job. And I think if you spoke to the soldiers, they're very happy to have JTACs with them if they do have them.
But you wouldn't see yourself going back to Afghanistan again necessarily?
Well, who knows? If someone needs me, I don't really want to say. Yeah, I'm sure if someone wants me, then I'll definitely consider it, unless I'm ordered to go, which I will have to go.
You mentioned the Sun earlier. Clearly, the tabloids have been gunning for you for a while now. Do you think this experience in Afghanistan is going to change how you're regarded back at home?
Who knows? They've got their own opinions. They're entitled to their own opinions, and I'll just keep on doing what I'm doing, and that's about it.
Okay, just one more, Harrier. What are you missing out here? What from home?
What am I missing the most? I should have thought about that before this started. I don't know, actually. Nothing really. It's bizarre. I'm out here now. I haven't really had a shower for 4 days. I haven't washed my clothes for a week, and everything seems completely normal. So yeah, no, I honestly don't know what I miss at all. Music. We've got light, we've got food, we've got drink. No, I don't miss booze, if that's the next question. It's very nice just to be here and be with all the guys and just sort of mucking in as one of the lads.
That's fantastic, thank you.
Harry, I've got just two questions, just sort of soundbitey ones really. One of the things that we've been learning about just from talking to some of your colleagues is this idea of deconfliction, and there must be a lot of responsibility. Do you sort of feel that it's
Deconfliction, what with the aircraft?
Yeah, the sense that you're there partly to prevent blue on blue.
Yeah, you're there to prevent blue on blue with bombs being dropped on or near friendlies. You're also responsible for not dropping bombs if you have to on the wrong people. Obviously, the rules of engagement are very strict, especially on the British. Not unlike the Americans, but it's different. There is a lot of deconfliction. There's a lot of pressure on all the JTACs, but there's a lot of pressure on all the soldiers as well, for numerous reasons. No one wants to engage someone for the wrong reason. I mean, if someone shoots at you, then you're entitled to shoot back. All I'd say is that if any of the guys at all, Gurkhas, any of the Brit soldiers, anybody anywhere in Afghanistan, if they're under contact and there's a JTAC there, I think any JTAC would say that they'll do their utmost best to make sure that those guys and every single one of them gets out in one piece. And if you have to, if you have to do what you have to do, then in order to succeed in getting your guys out in one piece, then that's the way it has to be.
Just finally, how would you sort of sum up what it means to you to be able to come out here and do what you've tried to do?
No, I mean I don't think there's any words to sort of describe it. It's just really nice to be out here. I mean, I've only been out here for a short time. I hope to be out here for a lot longer, and sort of go through it with everybody else. It's nice to see what it's all like. Father's very keen on me reporting back as the mole, so that he's got his sort of ends tied up. And yeah, no, as I say, it's much better than being out here, experiencing it, rather than hearing all the stories of people coming back. And once I did the JTAC course, I didn't see much point in sitting back in England, because once you've done the course, you are supposedly an asset, and I hope I am an asset rather than a nose.